Good afternoon. I'm going to do the weekly recap for the trades this past week. Before I get into that, you can go to Twitter and you can see the timestamps and the alerts of the week, or you can go on my Discord and you can go to past alerts, which everyone can see, and you can view them there. If you're not in the room, you can. There's an invite link in my bio in the on Twitter or StockTwits, whatever you're viewing this on. I ended up finishing the week 14 wins, 5 losses with a 73.68 win ratio, which is pretty decent considering I made a couple mistakes, which I'll go over. 3 out of the 5 losers were overnighters, and I end up, losing overnighters because the market is bipolar. It just picks and chooses what it likes and what it dislikes and ignores news. It's been a chaotic week, and just with the news, and that's been kind of a little frustrating that market gets tons of bad news and shrugs it off and doesn't care, and then it gets good news sometimes it shrugs it off. It's crazy. So just have to deal with it, do the best you can, and that's it. So I'll get started. Now, I did have an overnighter that ended up doing pretty well. I grabbed SPY calls Friday for over the weekend hold. I grabbed the July 17th Friday calls, which is the monthly 324 calls at 92 cents. I grabbed it at the end of day, which is right about here is where I grabbed it, thinking, okay, they're going to pump it over the weekend like they always do, and it's just they're ignoring bad news after bad news after bad news, and the market just doesn't care about anything. So I grabbed it just for a YOLO, and it gapped up, and I ended up selling it at open, and it ended up going to 240, so 92 cents to 240 on 324 calls, and they came pretty close from going into the money on Monday. So that was the SPY calls. Now I had Disney. Before I get into Disney, I'll switch this over to SPX because that was the next one I grabbed. Now I grabbed Disney 115 puts at 90 cents at 943, which was right about here. It dropped down, it popped up, then it rejected VWAP pretty harshly on this 10-minute candle, which brought it below this green 10-minute candle. I thought it was going to make a run to lower day and make new lows after the big gap up, and it didn't. It went sideways. I stayed in it. Very frustrating to watch it just go sideways through till 2 o'clock. So it was very annoying to watch, to say the least. And so they ended up going from 90 cents to $1.85. So that was a good play. If you were patient, which I was, you got to be patient and just let the chart work itself out. If you start watching the option prices, it's going to end up, you're going to take yourself out of the trade and missing the big move. And you cannot watch option prices. You have to watch the chart, the actual physical chart of the stock, not the option price, because you'll get stopped out all the time, and you can't do that. You can't trade like that. And if you do trade like that, you need to make adjustments or decrease your size of your play, so you take the emotion out. So so that was Disney. I had SPX puts twice on Monday. I had 31.90 puts at $1.10 at 10.35, which was this right here. It consolidated, popped up the 3 white soldiers, and I saw it started to reject this area just a tiny bit, and I jumped in for a quick scalp, and glad I was. I played it a quick scalp because it reversed and popped. So it went from 110 to 188. So just in this little drop right here, this little 5-6 point drop on SPX, it went from $1.10 to $1.88. All it needs to do is pull back just a tiny bit on SPX, and the option will skyrocket. So then I end up grabbing 3,200 puts at $1.25 at 11.07, which was right here. I saw it, make it, consolidate. Had trouble breaking over this like it did right here. Okay, I thought, okay, this is the top. So I grabbed 3,200 puts, and it started to pop out of it, and let's see. And when it did, let's see, where is it? Where did I see it? I had this line drawn from somewhere else. Let me bring out the hourly and see if it was the hourly that had it. Maybe it was the daily. I had it drawn there for a reason. Yeah, see, it was the daily right here. This is on the 4 hour, but yeah, I had that level up there. So when I saw it get above that level, I was like, okay, I'll hold on to it and see what happens. It's a lotto, so when I play lottos, I'll let it go to zero. I mean, I already assumed the risk when I get in anyway. So when I saw it pop here and rejected, and then it consolidated, and I thought, okay, it was going to dump. Then it popped up to this level again. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to get stopped out. But I stayed in it anyways, and it finally paid off. So it did have, when it did pop up above this level the second time, I did notice there was a divergence going on. So when I saw the divergence, I stayed in it. So even though sometimes divergences can last a long time and work against you, and so I stayed in it. Lotto, like I said, I already assumed the risk on it, and they went from $1.25 to $50. So this drop right here, 332 to 31.50. Those puts went from $1.25 to $50, which is a 4,000% call. So that was just mind blowing how well that went. And so the next one was I had, let's see. Yeah. Okay, this is where I said I made my mistakes. I had BA calls. Okay, I'll go pull up BA. And I had SPY. Okay. Now BA. Okay. I grabbed BA 200 calls at $1.10 at 9:46. And the reason I grabbed BA is because on Monday, it made a low right here of the 175.13, and when it dipped below and popped up above it, I grabbed the 200 calls immediately when I saw that it was a wick below and quickly got bought up, and I grabbed it, and it went from $1.10 to $1.90 in this little pop. So I grabbed it there, and that's why I grabbed that. SPY 312 puts at, let's see, at 256. Oh yeah, I remember this. But double topped right here, and I was thinking, okay, when it double topped right here at the end of the day, it's gonna do a end of the day dump, and it did drop a little bit. It went from 62 cents to 92 cents, and it held the 37 EMA, which is the white line. So it was only 30 cents of profit right there, but it quickly reversed and squeezed when it hit this level of 316 and 37 EMA. So I quickly got out of that. So, and it squeezed up. Now the two mistakes I made, which was I was going based off news. I was actually bullish on Disney for a while, and WYNN. And the reason I grabbed them was because Disney closed Hong Kong's theme park. So I was like, okay, Florida is going up quite a bit. Death rates are going up. Cases are skyrocketing, and Florida is going to close. I still believe that Florida is going to close their theme parks, and we'll probably get that next week. And I'll actually wait for the news this time instead of getting in and hoping for it. And I thought for sure it was going to happen after Hong Kong closed on Tuesday. We were going to get that on Tuesday, or even Wednesday. And nope, it just I got let's see, WYNN 72 puts at $1.04 at 10:08, which was right here. And it just popped. I should have stopped out. I held on to it thinking Vegas was going to close down too, and I should have just stopped out and got out. But no, I held it. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two was Disney thinking the same thing. But yeah, they had a stronger bias on Disney because Disney just closed Hong Kong that day on Tuesday. So I thought for sure with Florida rising death rates, it was going to announce Florida was closing too. And so I held on to it, even though it went against me. I should have stopped out, but I held it, waiting for the news. And I really thought the news was going to come out on Tuesday. It didn't. Not Wednesday. I just kept holding it, and both of them WYNN and Disney. I let go to zero, and I should have stopped out of both of them, but I made a mistake. I was waiting for the news. I really thought the news was coming, and it didn't. But I really still think Disney's going to announce probably next week that they're going to close Florida parks, even California. If Vegas, Nevada's been having strong numbers, I thought Vegas was going to shut down too. So that was two of my mistakes on Tuesday, and that was kind of dumb. So whatever, it is what it is. I had the right mindset. I probably mistimed it. Some people in the room says that every time I end up being too early sometimes, and if you grab my alert out a couple weeks, they end up working out, and my win rate is a lot higher than what it is, because I always play per week, and if you actually held out a couple weeks, my win rate would be even higher. But I don't like playing like that. So, but some people in the room do, and they do pretty good that way. So more power to them if they do. So now I have on Wednesday, I have SPY and SPX. I love playing these expiration days because that's how you get the monster runs. Let's see, I think this is Wednesday, the 15th. Yeah, this is the 15th. Yep. Okay. Now I grabbed SPY 321 puts at 9:30 right at open, because you had this big, let me back out just a little bit, and they had this big gap up, and it was tight in this area. Then it just popped, and I saw it started to sell off. It was right at VWAP at open, and I was like, okay. I told the room I'm getting SPY puts right at open, and I grabbed it immediately. The reason I grabbed SPY is always got a tight range between the bid and ask, and the spread is always within a penny or two, and you can get in and out market order. I don't recommend using market orders on options, but there's a few tickers you can use them on, like SPY and Facebook and Apple. You can market in and out because the spread is only usually 1 to 2 pennies, and it sometimes takes forever to get filled, and that's how I played them. So I mark it in right on the bat on SPY at open, and I got it at 68 cents and went to $1.13 just on this little drop right there. So that was a good little play on SPY. Now they also grabbed, I grabbed SPY again. I grabbed it at 10:03, so it must have been right here. 10:03. Oh yeah, I see what I did right here. Yeah, see what happened was I got it right there on the first one, and the second one it popped up and rejected, and it came back down hard. So I thought, okay, it was going to come and break the lower day with land speed, and it didn't. So it popped back up. Then it decided to come back down, and that's when let's see. No. Excuse me. I know what I did. Yeah. Right here when I had the green candle. See, that's the only problem with doing the weekly recaps, because I have to refresh my memory what I did. When it had the green candle, it came back down and rejected a 37 EMA. I got it right here, and I got it at 64 cents, and this is where it went to 80 right here, where it came down and retested the low. But I really thought it was going to go down more, because usually when they drop it open and they come back up and test the high and reject quickly, they usually come back and drop with airspeed or more momentum, and it didn't. So they did go from 64 cents to 80 cents, which is really not much of anything. So, but I did grab the SPX 31.95 when I got up to this level again of the I should say the SPY level 323, which I had trouble in this area on pre-market, which was right about right here. Now the reason I grabbed this is usually SPX puts, when I look at the option chain or like at 10 11 o'clock in the morning, that they're very, very expensive, and they were cheap. I mean, you usually, because I have my toss set at like the 14 strikes, showing 14 strikes, and usually when you see the bottom one on SPX, it's usually like $3 or $4 on puts, and this early in the morning on expiration day. And when I saw they were like $1.25, I said that's cheap. So when I saw it at this level at pre-market and how cheap they were, I said, okay, I'm going to grab it for a lotto. And I did. And I grabbed it $1.25, $3.95 puts. Then it went from $1.25 to $10.20 just in this little drop. So there was, let's see. Let's see. What did I say? Besides that level, I thought I saw something else that day. I don't see it right away. There is a little bit of a divergence right here on SPX. Yeah, that's why I see. I don't see it on SPY, but I see it on SPX. I did see the divergence too at that level. So I love divergences at these at certain levels. And like I said, the main reason I grabbed this is because puts was so cheap this early in the day for SPX, and all they got to do is just drop a little bit and they'll double. So that is why I grabbed SPX on Wednesday, and that was another 800% winner. So I went 3 for 3 that day. And let's see, Thursday I had, and I just skipped everything. Why did I do that? Oh yeah, Thursday. Let's see. Thursday I had Baba. I'll bring up Baba. And I had SPY twice. And this was Thursday, so okay. Okay, just checking the dates. Okay, now I grabbed Baba puts at 235 puts at 9.59, and I grabbed it. Let's see. I was hoping for a gap fill, and I wouldn't get the gap fill. It was pretty close, but it popped up and it started to reject. And you can see on the stochastics it already was considered oversold. So when it got to this level 244.50 and it started to reject, I grabbed it right under this 10-minute candle right here. When I saw it come back under this 10-minute candle, usually what happens is I don't like trading the first 10-15 minutes of the market open, because that's where you get the most fake outs. So when it had this big candle and it tried to go up and it rejected, and it opened flat, and it tried to go up just a tiny bit, and it rejected this level again. So 1, 2, 3, rejected it 3 times. And when it came underneath this 243.70, I think I said in the room, if it gets under 243 or even 244, that I was going to grab it. And I ended up grabbing the 235 puts, and they went from 75 cents to 90 cents. It wasn't really much of a play. It was very, very small. The whole day on Thursday and even Friday yesterday was just so choppy, and it was very frustrating. So that is why I grabbed Baba right there. I was just wanted the quick play in the morning, and it looked good rejecting this area and coming underneath that 10-minute candle. And I ended up grabbing SPY 316 puts at 11 o'clock, which was probably right about right here through VWAP. And it went from 84 cents to 96 cents right here. I thought about grabbing it right here, but I wasn't sure. It was so choppy, and it did reject the 200. I probably should have grabbed it right under the 320. But I didn't. But I ended up grabbing it down here, going through VWAP, and went from 84 cents to 96 on 316 puts. Then I ended up grabbing the 316 puts again at 2 o'clock, at 252. At 71 cents, so that was 252. Yeah, it was the same thing. This right below this little area right here, I grabbed it through VWAP, and it went from 71 cents to 84 cents. And the reason all day long, I remember this because when I got this little push right here, it's been holding this 319 area all day long. I mean, it just keeps wicking. Every time it gets below the 319.40 area, it gets bought up really quickly. So when I grabbed it on the VWAP, I told everybody in the room, if I grab it, I'm going to sell it right at the low of day. I don't have any confidence of it breaking, and it didn't. It popped. So I mean, Thursday was very choppy and very frustrating to say the least. And I ended up grabbing UVXY 31 calls at I don't have the time frame. It was 58 cents. I'll open up UVXY. Let's see. No, that's the wrong day. I grabbed it right here, I think, and it started popping up. I think it was right here when I grabbed it. End of the day, there was a lot of bad news that came, and I thought, okay, it's going to pop overnight. The SPY was going to drop, and it didn't. The SPY was just ignoring the bad news like it always does, and it ended up being another overnight hold that ended up being a loser and dropping. So I lost on that one. And let's see, Friday, let's see, I had, BABA in the morning, Friday, I had SPX, okay, so Friday I grabbed BABA puts 242 at 9:42 in the morning at 63 cents, actually I grabbed the 242.50 puts at 63 cents, I grabbed it right here. And I was expecting, because what happens with BABA is every time it gaps up in a tight range, ends up selling off. So right when it grabbed this to this 246 level, I grabbed it and it chopped and chopped and chopped. And by the time it dropped, it was still a loss. I mean, that's the bad thing about trading on expiration days is that even though if you're right and the stock goes your way, you could still lose. And that's exactly what happened. Theta kicks in, it decayed really, really fast in this small amount of chop right here. I got it at 63 cents right here, and I ended up selling it down here at 45 cents. So I ended up selling it for a loss, even though it dropped. It just didn't drop fast enough or hard enough, and it needed to drop here. So as you can see, just within a half an hour, Theta just wrecked the play. The play would have worked if it dropped a little faster, but it is what it is. So that was a loss on that one. Then I had SPY SPX puts 31.80 at $1. Let's see, which was at what time? 11:18, which was right here. It popped up, and this is where it's been struggling, right there, right there. So I grabbed it when it started to reject this level, and then went from $1 to $1.30 just in this little drop right there. I mean, it doesn't need much to drop. Then I grabbed the SPX again, but I grabbed the 31.95. I don't like holding on expiration dates because, as you can see with BABA, all it takes is just a little bit of time and it just gets destroyed. And I always, if I keep playing SPX, I always adjust the strikes to account for the decay and get closer to the money and cheaper puts and stuff like that. So even though it is cheaper, but I try to get closer to the at the money as the day progresses. So I grabbed the 31.95 puts at 10:48, which was right here. As it consolidated, it broke down this little wedge. As you can see, it was just a tiny little bit of a descending wedge. And I grabbed that. I went from 95 cents to $1.35, just in this little drop from 31.21.72 to 17.26. So just like a 3-point drop. It ended up going 40 cents. So I mean, I quickly got out of that. I was watching the EMAs, and it's been holding the 37 this time, so I assumed it was going to hold it there again. So then the last play of the day, I had, let's see, I had the 31.95 puts again at $1.15. Now what happened was I grabbed it right here, right around 1 o'clock, right here, I think. And the reason, where was it? Yeah, 1:18. It was right about right here. And the reason I grabbed it again is because it looked like it was just going to just dump. And it's been dumping it. On Monday, it dumped at 2 o'clock. So I thought it was just going to it was just going to go, and I didn't think it was going to pop, but it did. Drop a tiny bit, but it didn't drop like I thought. I thought it was going to come down and retest the 3,200 again. I got that one wrong, and that was my last trade of the day, which was a loss. And I held it to the end, thinking, okay, maybe we'll get that 2 o'clock dump, and we never got that 2 o'clock dump. And all day long, we just kept having bad news after bad news, and SPY just didn't care. So that's what happened. That was the recap for the week. I made a few mistakes. Next week's show hopefully will be better, won't be as choppy. But yeah, Friday was pretty choppy too. It was hard to trade Thursday and Friday. So if you took losses on Thursday or Friday, it was very difficult to trade no matter how good you are. It's it's hard to trade when it's choppy, and it's hard to trade when you have good news and bad news, and stocks or the market doesn't react to it properly or the way you think it's going to, or stuff like that. So I mean, it does happen, and you just have to deal with it and move on, and that's what I'm gonna do. So that's gonna do it for the recap. I hope this helped, and see you later.